Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar merchandise review. This one is going to be for these Ultimate Guard Squaroes Deck Boxes. So that's the first thing to get across immediately. These are a trading card game accessory. It's a deck box that you can store trading cards in. And it's Avatar versions of them, of course. So to quickly get across what the line, I suppose, is. Obviously, like I said, Ultimate Guard, this is a specific line of deck boxes called Squaroes because they are licensed, branded. Avatar has some, and they have other stuff, like I think they have like DC, I saw South Park, stuff like that. And they'll add to it as they go on. I think they have TMNT as well. So they're expanding them, of course. For Avatar, I suppose to a certain degree, you can say that they're releasing these here because Avatar is getting a Magic the Gathering set in November. So obviously they're releasing way ahead of time. But hey, pick them up if you are planning to get some Avatar Magic the Gathering, of course. So what I have here is the Aang and also the Cabbage Merchant. I'll open the Cabbage Merchant just to show you the unboxing. There's nothing super fancy going on with the unboxing here. It's a box in a box, basically. But just to kind of highlight some of the packaging stuff, to highlight the other ones that are available. So Aang is, of course, number 1. The Cabbage Merchant is number 9. He's the kind of rare one in the wave. That's why they have him kind of separately out here. But you can see that the other ones are Katara, Sokka, Toph, Momo, Azula, Zuko, and Iroh. Now there's pictures out there, of course, of all of them, and that's the situation there. But also there is the overall collector's case, or kind of giant mega deck box that is Appa. Now this is big enough to store 8 of them in. It'll fit perfectly 8 of these Squaroes deck boxes. So if you do get them all, you are going to be left with without a slot for one of them. But that's just the situation. This is quite an expensive kind of product. But also, you can just store the cards in this on its own, because it's like just a big deck box on its own. But they definitely theme it so that you get all these and you put these in here, and the cards are like double protected. That's sort of the idea here. So yeah, Ultimate Guard is the overall kind of maker of this. They are really well known for making TCG accessories. Their deck boxes, their card sleeves, playmats, that sort of thing. We know that they're good. And specifically, this specific style of deck box is literally one that already exists. So it's just this. This is I believe the Ultimate Guard Boulder deck box, and this is exactly the same one. It's the Boulder 100, I think is technically what they call it, because there's a smaller version that's 80 in terms of how many cards it basically stores, quote unquote. So you can see here they've used the exact same deck box design. It's just now that all the surfaces on the deck box now have branding. But it's not just that like they stick a few Avatar images on the front, back, and side. No, it's like the character is the deck box. So I think it is quite fun and unique. The printing, I think, is very, very nice. It doesn't feel like it's just going to rub off. Maybe if you're super rough with this, you'd throw it all over the place. It'll really put an effort in to scratch it. You'll scratch it. But it feels pretty solid, I think, overall. And I think given that most people, if you're putting your cards into a deck box like this, you're probably also going to look after the deck box itself. So you can see here the printing. So Aang's face is actually a pretty accurate and nice, Aang's face. Like it seems like they did take that off, basically, one of the main kind of stock images of Aang. You, of course, have his arrow that kind of goes all the way around in terms of what you can see. But they also have the arrow on his hands, as much as you can see of them, which is so funny, just the side view, especially, just the ear, and then the tiny little hands here. It's such a fun little detail on these. You can see hints of his clothing on the bottom here, but it's obviously smushed together to make him into the box. And even on the back, they put in a little bit of detail here to just give it some sort of an effect. On the bottom, they do just have the kind of general branding. So Avatar The Last Airbender, Viacom, Squaroes, Ultimate Guard, that whole thing. In terms of how you actually open it up, the seam is along this. So this kind of black line here that basically separates the head from the clothing is in fact the seam. You can probably see it slightly better on the standard Boulder. It's in the exact same spot. So it's a pretty tight fit. You do actually have to like put in a decent bit of effort to kind of actually open it up. But you get a sense for, okay, on the inside it's not printed, which I don't think anyone expected it to be. It's just nice clean plastic. But it gives you a sense for the kind of locking mechanism and why it is so kind of tight. Like, you would, I think, have a very hard time having this properly attached together and just casually shaking it apart. But again, I think the usual use case for these deck boxes is that most people are just going to carry them around carefully and not throw it all over the place. So that's the situation there. So yeah, the cards just kind of slot in here. The way they've designed it like this, so that like it's like this, so you can kind of display the cards like reasonably nicely, where like they just they're quite visible at the front because of the low kind of front, but they have the backing here to keep them upright. So you can kind of have two little kind of display kind of things when it's open, and then of course you just put them all in this one and put it back together, of course. And it's a pretty nice kind of thud when it does close. So I'll get into filling this up in a second with some cards, just to kind of go through that there. But yeah, it is pretty nice overall. But yeah, let's show you the unboxing one. I haven't actually opened up the Cabbage Merchant yet. But yeah, like I said, this is technically the chase of the wave. The other 8 are kind of standard. This is the rare one, apparently. I don't really know what that exactly amounts to. My guess is that what that means is just that there are slightly less Cabbage Merchants in a box of the overall wave. How much less, I'm not really sure. I don't think I've seen any sites particularly have this one, only this one sold out. It seems like actually in this case, maybe it's the more popular characters that are selling out more than anything. That I think I've seen more places with the Azula one sold out than I have the Cabbage Merchant. So it's just a bit of an interesting one. I think it is only a minor rarity. I had no problem getting my Cabbage Merchant where I ordered it from. But yeah, it opens very, very easily, of course. And then you can see here, it's just a little bit of cardboard on the top. They have a bit of a thank you here. And then, yeah, the deck box just comes straight out, and that's it. No really other packaging. And then, like I showed you with the Aang already, this whole thing just comes out. On the inside, you can see this is where they list that the Cabbage Merchant is a rare. They do have a checkbox here, highlighting that, I think, unlike, say, standard deck boxes, where they do it in waves as well. Like, there's different color waves that come out of them, but it's just a color variation. They don't treat it as like a collector's item type thing. These Squaroes are very clearly aiming down that route of, they want you to think of these kind of as deck boxes, but also as like Funko Pop equivalents as well. That these are cool kind of deck boxes slash almost figures to a certain degree, because they literally are just the characters. Now, this is maybe what brings up what we'll talk about here as we take a look at the Cabbage Merchant here, is the pricing on these, I think, is probably the main issue. I overall think these are super unique and fun. I understand how some people might think that these are just weird, especially if you're maybe an Avatar collector who's not really into trading card games, so you wouldn't have anything to put in these. You're not just going to get them for the collector's aspect necessarily. These cost, straight from Ultimate Guard's official website, the pricing on these is €25 per box. Now, where I got them from, it was €20 per box. So a decent bit cheaper there. I'm not sure if you will be able to find them cheaper anywhere else, but that's the assumption there, is that like, okay, these are 25/20 euro, depending on where you get them from. On the other hand, so the same deck box, exact same quality, plastic, that sort of thing, the exact same, based on what they say at the bottom, the whole return to earth thing, the fact that it's made of a lot of recycled materials, is exactly the same with this, because I think this specific one is like, I think, a particularly high amount of recycled material returned to earth. It's literally printed on this one. This one's only about like 10-12 euro. So at absolute full price, these are basically double the price of the standard version. But it's well over 50% kind of more to a certain degree. So that's the kind of slight issue here, is that starts to add up, given that there are 9 of them, And then there's the, I think it's like $80 Appa kind of collector's case thing. That's an expensive set of deck boxes. Given that if you do go plain, you can get twice as much like storage basically for that same price. So I would say immediately as like a buying recommendation, if you're into TCGs and are going to have cards to store in them, buy your favorite characters, but don't feel like you have to, like it says kind of here, complete the checklist and all this sort of stuff. Because for instance, like the Zuko would, it's book 1 Zuko, it's, you know, bald Zuko. So I'm very uninclined to get that Zuko. Maybe if they do a wave 2 and they do a book 3 Zuko, I'm maybe a little bit more inclined to get that. But I'm not like rushing out and feeling like I have to get all of these. I might get 1 or 2 more. I think what I'm basing my buying decision on past these initial 2 is basically when they properly announce the Avatar Magic the Gathering stuff. For instance, how many commander decks is there going to be? If there are 4, I'll absolutely get 2 more Avatar deck boxes just so I can store those 4 commander decks in 4 Avatar themed deck boxes as just a bit of a board game setup type thing. That's cool to me. But otherwise, like, I don't see myself getting all 9. I don't see myself getting the Appa kind of collector case in the future. That's just where I'm at with this. And that I really like them, but the pricing makes it very difficult for me to say, oh yeah, absolutely, go collect these things, just flat out. But yeah, let's get into the Cabbage Merchant here. So of course, he is the most famous, popular kind of super minor character, effectively like almost like a meme character, I suppose. Everyone knows the Cabbage Merchant to the point where he's now you'd almost wouldn't call him a minor character. He's now a kind of in this weird secondary character slot where like he has his own book where we know his name now. His name is Sai, spelt C-A-I. We got that official canon name for him somewhat recently. We know stuff like about his son going into Korra, Cabbage Corp, that whole sort of thing. And again, it's so funny seeing like the side view with the ear, the little tuft of hair, his hand sticking out. You've got the cabbages on the side, cabbages on the back, of course, and they're all kind of different in the way that they look. On this side, you see it's more of a cabbage leaf, you know, and it's slightly different here. Nothing on the top, of course, because he just wears his hat. That's kind of just green, but nice and so kind of pretty unique. And again, on the bottom, it's much the same thing. Is there anything particularly unique on the bottom? Yeah, not really. I would have maybe appreciated if they put maybe the character code on the bottom. Like I think it's like AV001 for Aang and 009 for Cabbage Merchant down here. Which is what it says on the front of the packaging there, yeah. Just, you know, they're leaning into it being a collector thing. I would have maybe liked that a little bit, but still, cool for what it is. And then I'm assuming, yeah, it's white on the inside for Cabbage Merchant as well, exactly the same. But it's the same size deck box and everything like that. Works very nice. Ultimate Guard's quality is always very good. And they do a good job, given that like it's only painted on the outside. It's only got the effect on the outside. Like the seam there, given that it goes through his little beard and kind of goatee thing, is actually quite clean there. Now, let's get into actually just showing some cards in this. So if I open this up, here is a commander deck. This is one of the Doctor Who commander decks, which is also, you know, Universes Beyond, of course. And just for anyone wondering, because effectively, I suppose this is also a review of just the deck box as is. It's exactly the same on the standard kind of deck box in terms of like the way it looks when you open it up. So nothing different there. Of course, same thing, same mold, effectively. So yeah, it says here that on the packaging, doesn't it, that it holds, yeah, it says on the back, it holds 100 double-sleeved or 120 single-sleeved trading cards. So this is 100 single-sleeved cards. So these are not double-sleeved, so technically it should have space for a little bit more. And we'll see that it actually does. So let's put this in, full commander deck. And you can see it fits, and it fits in with a decent amount of space still left. And it's like, yeah, is that enough for 20 extra cards? Yeah, I'd say just about. Yeah, it'd probably be maybe a pretty tight squeeze once you start to get out to 120. But I think this is perfectly fine for, like, most commander decks. It would probably be, yeah, your 100 card deck and then some tokens, which might not even get you up to that, like, 120. But yeah, it fits absolutely no problem, of course, and you just put it in there, and it stores them pretty nicely, of course. So that's very clean, and it's not just going to fall out, of course. You saw in the video how difficult it is almost to just, like, open it normally. Once you do it a few times, like this one's a little bit easier to open because I've done it a few times, whereas it's the first few times doing it with this one, it's a little bit slightly more difficult, but still perfectly fine, functional as a deck box, of course. If you do double sleeve, like it says, it's basically saying if you double sleeve, 100 cards like this would be out to the edge because it'll just be that little bit thicker overall. So there's that, and I'll end with just highlighting that, hey, did you know that this is not actually the first official Avatar deck box? It's not even the first official Cabbage Merchant Avatar deck box, because we have this previously. This is the Weiss Schwarz kind of gift set, kind of special edition version that came out with the Avatar Weiss Schwarz set. It came with Cabbage Merchant card sleeves and stuff like that. So it's just so funny that, like, we have a weird situation where there are two Cabbage Merchant deck boxes. But yeah, this is more of a kind of flexible plastic kind of deck box. It's not the same, like, hard plastic that is. So that's just a fun little thing to note. And then I do have some, these are Avatar Weiss Schwarz cards that I have here. So you can just to have some Avatar card kind of theming here. These are the exact same size as Magic cards overall. And we'll just stick these in to the Cabbage Merchant, of course. Just to highlight that, yeah, even Weiss Schwarz cards fit in here, so they're the same size as Magic and Pokemon and stuff like that. They'll fit as well. Here's, I think, my Katara and Sokka deck that I have here. So there's that. So this is quite a few less cards, I think. I'm not actually sure how many cards exactly that is. It might be just like 90 or something like that, because I think there's a few cards that I don't have in here because I'm using them in different decks. That's why there's some card sleeves in here. But you can see there's absolutely enough space for everything you need here. And again, goes on pretty nice. Avatar deck boxes. So very cool, fun items. And yeah, here is some of the rest of the collection. There's actually an image showing you that, like, yeah, 8 of them will stack into the APA pretty cleanly, which is nice. If I was to get more of them, which would I get? Maybe Katara, Toph perhaps. You know, the Iroh one is kind of nice, the Azula one. The two that I'm maybe not as inclined towards, I think, are the Momo and the Zuko, just because it's book 1 Zuko, and the Momo one doesn't feel like it has as much printing as some of the other ones, so it's a little bit more plain. But yeah, I can see myself grabbing maybe 1 or 2 other ones. It depends on how much stuff they announced for Avatar Magic the Gathering in terms of those commander decks, like I said. So 4 of these will happily store 4 full commander decks, which is exciting stuff. So in the comments, if you have any questions, definitely let me know which is your favorite of all the designs of these Avatar Squaroes. What do you think of them? I suppose overall, would you like to see them do more of these? I definitely like to see them do Korra, because just no one seems to do much Korra merch, so I'd be absolutely open for, like, Korra, certainly. That would be very unique, but we'll see what happens as we go forward. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are, but that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.